is Raptor here from Retro Gamers. Today we're going to take a look at 3 games from the classic era of video game consoles. Starting with the Atari 2600, we're going to take a look at MASH based off the classic TV show. For CLICOVISION, we're going to take a look at Turbo, which was one of my all-time favorite arcade racing games back in the day. And on Intellivision, we're going to take a look at Demon Attack. So sit back. If you like the video, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button so you get notifications. So let's take a look at some classic games. So for MASH, we're going to play it on actually my Atari 7800. Atari 7800 is backwards compatible to the Atari 2600. It, however, does not play the Atari 5200 games. But this, I do highly recommend if you can, on these classic game consoles, to get a dust cover, as Hermione apparently likes it. I ended up getting this off Etsy. So the nice thing with the Atari 7800, as you can tell, it's a lot smaller than the 5200. But just an all-around great console. They went back to what they had learned from the 2600 and just improved upon it. They didn't try to reinvent like they did with the 5200. So here is MASH with the Atari 2600. Okay, so this is MASH for the Atari 2600. I am having to film it using a camera pointing at the screen because my Atari has not been modded. So, again, there are basically 3 different games in this. 2 of which involve a helicopter. There's one variation where your helicopter is smaller, and then you have the surgery. So I'm going to go ahead and select so here is game 1. You have to excuse me because I do have a camera right in front of the TV. It is very, very easy to get hung up on the trees. And then once you have your helicopter full, drop them off and go pick up more wounded. If you get shot, it is very easy to get stuck. Now, if you do get shot down, you do not lose the people you have picked up. So that is game 1. So the variation here. So here is, on this one, you basically just pick up as many wounded as you can. Again, you do get hung up on the trees very easily. It seems to favor the second player. There is a 1-player option. It's just one with a camera right in front of the TV. That's why I'm kind of having to lean over. It would be pretty bad. Probably wouldn't be able to rescue anyone. Okay, so now the mod version of it. You're basically just a smaller helicopter that still gets hung up on trees. It is neat that when you fill up your helicopter, the sound changes. The blades actually change direction. They point up a little bit as if to show that the helicopter is at its weight limit, and the little window fills up. So they did an overall really good job, and it's not the best Atari game, but it's MASH, so I had to get it because I'm a huge MASH fanatic. So the last one is the surgery one. Oh. And there you can see what happens when you hit the wall. The highest score you can get in this game is 999. So you cannot get above that. Up. I'm sure the colors are not coming over really good because I'm having to film the TV. So supposedly this is you trying to get a bullet out of a patient. And it actually is quite addicting. Now I am playing with a Sega Genesis controller, which makes this game a lot easier. So that is MASH for the Atari 2600. So for the CLICOVISION, I wanted to first talk about, well, mainly the console itself for those that are not familiar with it. One, it happens to have the largest power adapter I've ever seen for a game console. I mean, this thing is huge. It's actually almost, it's funny, it's almost as big as a Game Boy. But for the CLICOVISION, let me unplug some of this stuff. So here's your basic CLICOVISION. You do have the expansion module here. Expansion module 1, I believe, is what plays the Atari 2600 games. It just plugs in there. I have it over there. I'm not going to bring it out because it's a pain to get to right now. Expansion module 2, I'll show in a minute. Expansion module 3 is a track roller, which is actually a really good track roller. One advantage to the CLICOVISION over the Intellivision, as you'll see in a bit, is the controllers can actually unplug. So you can play with a Sega Genesis console or a Sega Genesis controller if you want to, which is highly recommended in some cases, but you do need access to a number pad. That way you can select your skill levels. And on some games, the numbers actually is what your fire buttons are, so you may need to access that. As far as the controller, the CLICOVISION isn't bad. The stick is a little stiff, kind of like on an Atari, but as we get to the racing game, here's the neat thing. So for the module 2, for module 2, it's a pretty good racing setup, fairly responsive. It actually does have here that plugs into the bottom of the unit a accelerator, which works rather well. And then for shifting, what you do is you take a controller and you end up slipping it right in here, if it's going to snap in place for me. Sometimes it can be a little picky. There we go. And so that is your shifter. And you also then have access to the number pads to select your difficulty. This would plug into port 1, and then this would plug into port 2. So that is the racing setup for the CLICOVISION. These module 2s are actually not that expensive yet. CLICOVISION's starting to go up in price, but highly recommend this. It's a great little unit. They did a good job on it. I wish, I'm not sure if Atari had anything like this, but again, great setup. I have not tried to use this on Atari. It possibly could work because it's the same controller port, but here we go. Turbo, made by Sega on CLICOVISION. Okay, Turbo for CLICOVISION. So I'm going to do the best I can here. Since I've got a TV, but I got the steering wheel hooked up. So I was actually incorrect. The steering wheel has to be in port 1 and the controller has to be in port 2. but you get points for passing cars. I used to play this at a pizza arcade place called Crystals all the time. I'll try to show all the screens. The tunnel one was always my favorite. It's supposed to be a hill. So I've maxed out how many cars I can pass. This is the one I hate the most. And it's really hard with the camera right in front of you. Ah, good. You do not want to hit the ambulance. This was one of the first racing arcade games to have screens like this. That's why it was so fascinating at first. Now you have ice, so your car does react differently. The CLICOVISION is starting to act up. I got to get the power plug. I got to take it apart and clean the power module where it connects into the console. So I got a loose connection. I'm probably going to stop this here as it is really starting to bug here. Oh, come on. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a loose power cord. So that is turbo. Actually, I wonder how good I can do with all this flickering. ColecoVision's power system is very, very touchy. Yeah, I didn't even see that car. I am amazed. I can't even see where my car is. Okay, that's turbo. Okay, the next console is Intellivision. This is the Model 1. I do not have the Model 2 yet. The Model 2 does have one huge advantage over the Model 1, which is the controllers. These controllers are hardwired. You cannot take them out. So you are forced to play with the Intellivision controllers, which are not that good. You do not have a joystick. You have this disc. which is rather pathetic. It's okay, I guess, but it's probably one of my least favorite controllers, especially since they really want you to hold it like this. So your button's on the bottom. You do have 4 fire buttons here, and then of course your number pads. And when it comes to Demon Attack, so I have this also on Atari 2600, but Demon Attack, as we open it up here, it was made by Mattel Electronics, and it does have, like the CLICOVISION did, these overlays. So you take your controller and you put the overlay in, and now you know what each of the buttons do. This was their niche, I guess. ColecoVision, like I said, did do the same thing. If you have the, I tend to call them plug and play, but the compilation consoles, ColecoVision and Intellivision and Atari all came out with one. The ColecoVision and Intellivision do have a lot of these. The one advantage to ColecoVision that I should have shown on the Turbo is that these little inserts actually have a place to set in the controller. Matter of fact, if I reach over here, if you look at the back, of course their insert is a little bit different, but you have these little lips that it would slide into, and it would hold it in place. So, Intellivision, Demon Attack. Okay, so to show, apparently the Intellivision didn't like me saying it was third, because I'm going to show you exactly what started to happen now. If I turn it on, it does this. So I've cleaned the cartridge, I've cleaned the contacts. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to work on this. I may be able to add some footage to this later, or we may end up, I may end up just killing the Intellivision portion of it. I have not tried, so it actually does. I don't think I can play this long like this with a glitchy screen and a camera in front of it. Well, could have been worse. But again, the Atari 2600 version is better. It goes to show you graphics is not always the best. But I will try to do some more tweaking of the Intellivision and see if I can get it to work. But Intellivision Demon Attack. So there are 3 classic games for you. MASH really is better as a 2-player. Not that bad of an arcade game, really, for Atari standards. The operation portion is hilarious, especially when you hit one of the edges. It says ferret face. Anyone that is familiar with MASH knows that joke where Frank Burns, Major Frank Burns, they tended to call him ferret face a lot. So MASH, not bad. Turbo lives up pretty good to the arcade. Still, I enjoy playing this. It's just a great arcade racing game. And then Demon Attack, I will always like the Atari a little bit better, but excellent game. So all 3 of these games are great to pick up. They're actually not that expensive. Turbo you can find almost anywhere. MASH, a little bit more difficult, but if you do find it, it doesn't tend to be that expensive. Demon Attack, again, I like the Atari better, but the ColecoVision is not bad at all, and you can pick this up pretty inexpensive. Matter of fact, I picked this one up for like $10, and it came in the box a few years ago. So excellent games to add to your collection. If you don't have any of these consoles, highly recommend picking them up, especially the Atari. You can't get much classic than that. CLICOVISION would be right up next to that. I've always loved the CLICOVISION. Intellivision I'd probably put third as far as the early era or infant era of video game consoles go. So, hope you liked the video. Hope you like taking a look back at these 3 classic games. Please like the video if you happen to like it. Leave a comment. That way we know if you have any suggestions, if you have any recommendations for some other games. I know Texas Cat is doing Little Nightmares right now. She's going to start Ori. She's talking about doing BioShock. I've got some more games. I'm kind of going through the list. I just finished Batman Arkham Asylum, so I might do a video on that. Excellent, excellent game. And then I'll go to probably a NES game because I like going from console to console. So, hope you like the video. Please subscribe, please like, leave a comment, and we will see you next time.